What is something you learned the hard way? 25 plus years with tinnitus here. Fucking Allman Brothers concert when I was a hippie. I've learned to cope with it. Cognitive behavior therapy, some pink, brown noise kinda fill in the low frequency gap to even out the high pitch ringing, etc. It's always work, and sometimes, if I'm lucky, I get completely distracted for a day or three. And sometimes it's so loud that I look at a bottle of Drano differently, which is not a really good decision to drink the stuff. But sometimes, once in a great while, it's slightly less unattractive seeming than other times. Point is, wear earplugs. This shit ain't fun and you have to learn a lot in order to deal. Please, take it from me. Not exactly the same but related to this. If you're prone to things like sleepwalking under certain conditions, and you meet those conditions, make sure someone else has your keys. I sleepwalk when I have a fever. Apparently I tried to go for a drive at 2 a.m. in my pajamas and no shoes one night after the ibuprofen had worn off and my temp spiked. Thankfully, my roommate was still up and was able to redirect me. Also, being alone, as in, not in a relationship, is 100x better than being in a shitty relationship. So many people are so afraid of being alone that they enter any relationship, no matter how shitty. Just don't. Being in a good relationship with someone is wonderful, but don't lie to yourself if the relationship you're in is less than good. The reason that the rich were so rich, Vimes reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50, but an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vimes always bought, and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was an Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. This was the Captain Samuel Vimes Boots theory of socio-economic unfairness. Terry Pratchett, Men at Arms. I remember watching a documentary about being poor in Los Angeles. They were stuck being poor because they didn't have local supermarkets. Instead, they had to buy from up-priced convenience stores. They couldn't get anywhere due to the horrible public transportation system, and every second corner store was those payday scam of a store which put them in further debt. You can't place all your needs in one person, romantic or platonic. Think of it like pages in a scrapbook. If you fill all the pages with that one person, and those pages get ripped out, all you're left with is an empty scrapbook. You have to have a variety of things in your scrapbook, so that if a page does get ripped out, it's full of other memories as well. I'm asking for a raise today, and if they don't give it, I'm putting in my resignation notice. Depending on how nice they are about it will determine how much notice I give them. Was supposed to be part-time, but they have me working 7.5 hours a day 5 days a week. I'm a full-time student too. Pay attention even in your own house. I was walking down the stairs reading something on my phone and didn't see all the water on the tile at the bottom. Washing machine overflowed, slipped as soon as I stepped down and fell hard on the stairs, resulting in a broken wrist and 3 fractures in my back, and it's going to take a month at least to heal. Leaving a job is a risk you should take seriously, especially if people are dependent on you. Always ask yourself what are the exact reasons you want to leave. Be brutally truthful. The grass may seem greener on the other side, but companies try very hard to hide the shit show during the interview process. Always remember, when you are looking at a company to move to, you will subconsciously convince yourself it's champagne and roses. They will lie about the work environment to persuade you. They want you to have the warm fuzzy feeling. I had coworker that was sexually harassing another coworker. Was friends with both people. Eventually harassed coworker decided she was sick of the shit and reported to manager. Manager arranged sexual harassment seminar for whole office. did not address issue with harasser. It continued. Meanwhile, moron harasser was like, why did they waste a whole day on some BS seminar? Harassed reports to manager again. Second whole day sexual harassment seminar. Moron still clueless as he is moron and manager did not directly address with him. Third time harassed reports directly to HR. They came in, interviewed us all. I reported both the harassment and the fact the harasser didn't get called out by manager, making it very clear that harasser and management were at fault for continued issue. My words were not kept in confidence and I'm not sure what they told harassed individual, but I became persona non grata in the office when previously I was well liked. HR screwed me over. Only upside, fairly certain harassed individual ended up with a fat paycheck. She clearly had to sign an NDA as she didn't speak of it. After that, she bought a lovely expensive house, new car and went on trips to tropical islands. Good for her. Smile. I missed having her as a friend. When people say I'm here for you or you can tell me anything or I'll always be there for you, things like that, they think they mean it. But they absolutely do not mean it. It's not their fault, they really do believe they mean it when they say it, usually. But yeah, 99.9% of people cannot handle dealing with someone else's fucked up life for even a hit second and will bail to protect their own mental well-being very quickly. If you get in an accident, get a police report. I made the mistake of not doing so when a lady hit my car because I was naive and expected the best of strangers. Of course she denied everything and her insurance refused to pay for the damages. I was so disappointed in her but also in myself for being so optimistic in a situation that affected me financially. Tried helping a friend with 2 kids going through her divorce. Did my best to support her while she picks up the pieces. Turns out that most people just kinda want you to keep helping without lifting a finger to even get themselves out of the hole they dug. It's a hard pill to swallow and there was no upside to being the supportive friend. Don't repeat my mistake. Think carefully before helping. You will lose your time and most probably even your friend in the end. Batteries that don't have enough juice to run a device but can still shock you. I was goofing around and stuck a dead watch battery up my nose. Apparently enough juice to cause it to shock the inside of my nose to the point that my eyes watered and I couldn't see well enough to get it out without help from my wife. She still laughs and makes fun of me for this today. Don't be roommates with someone who you are attracted to. I've come at this from 3 angles and it's never been fun. I was really attracted to a roommate and knowing some dude in the next room fucking her was torture, but a roommate that was attracted to me and I had no interest in her was just creepy and awkward. Girlfriend had roommate that was attracted to her and she had zero interest in him, just made every single interaction with him awkward. Life just is. There's no point in holding on to any of that divine judgment of they'll get theirs. Bad people get away with bad stuff and sometimes have amazing lives. Good people have bad things happen to them. The people who wronged you will just move on and sometimes without repercussion. The people you have wronged, sometimes you will just keep moving on with things unresolved. Or maybe you'll never know that you even wronged someone. It's just life. But thinking about that karmic retribution just takes away mental energy. The best you can do to build a better world for yourself and for others is to just try to be as good as you can for everyone and not worry about karmic payback or karma points. Stuff just will happen. Just try to be good to each other, and you'll get your good things, not because the universe is your back, but more than likely because you put in a plan to make something good happen and you stuck with it. I am very allergic to horses. I was on holiday with my cousin who lives on a ranch and has been riding horses since she was 3. I asked if I could take one of her horses out for a ride with my uncle and she said yeah. She let me borrow her boots and got the oldest and gentlest horse out for me to ride since it was my first time. We went through a sheep paddock. All was going well. I was learning pretty quickly. About 20 minutes later and I can barely breathe and I start begging my uncle to let me off the horse and go back to the house because my throat had started swelling up and my nose was clogged. Don't marry anything with the intent of fixing them. You're the one that needs fixing. You should marry a partner and not someone you can't help. It took me 2 marriages to understand this. Eventually it started with me asking myself, why is my second wife so much like the first, and the answer was clear, because without realizing I picked them that way. Don't put too much gasoline on a fire. I was trying to start a campfire and put about a cup of gasoline on the wood, was gonna crouch there and light it directly, but decided to experiment and do a fuse style type thing with paper. Lit it and laid it next to the gas-soaked pile of wood, and a few seconds later flames erupted. If it weren't for that paper fuse I would have gotten burned. That, even as a young adult, the totally sane and mature person you are with may implode your relationship in an insanely childish way. And it's okay, you can be angry about it. You may be afraid of what lies ahead or afraid of losing some friends, but dang it, that shit probably wasn't worth it if it ends like that, and the girl you'll meet soon after might just be the one who totally gets you. Anger gets you nowhere in life. If you want to be happy, you have to learn to not be so angry and just let go of things you have no control over. Spent a lot of years pissed off at the whole world for things that had nothing to do with them and things I cannot change, like childhood shit for example. It took years to rewire my brain, but with lots of help and patience from my husband we made it happen. Never been happier. Be patient with yourself, guys. Let go of the rage. Unfortunately, many people are assholes and will push you and mistreat you if you're not careful, especially in groups of men where the stakes are high, like corporate jobs, sports teams, or even in the street. There are some power plays, and in my experience, when you submit to an unjust and impossible situation, you do not buy yourself any real peace. You encourage people to go further, to take more from you, to use you for their own purposes. They sense your lack of self-respect and they feel justified in mistreating you. Maybe disrespect is not the best word, more like boundaries. Not all people are like that, but if you've a feeling something is not right, it's a good indicator. Safety glasses work. I have a scarred cornea as proof. I was grinding all day wearing glasses. I took them off towards the end of the shift and then noticed I wasn't quite done. Demos me grabs grinder and goes to town on that last weld. Of course, 10 seconds later, I get a 3/4 long metal shaving embedded in my eye. 4 trips to eye surgeon to get it all removed, as it had broken into smaller pieces. You have be awake, and are able to see, while somebody digs in your eye. Not fun. Narc doesn't change. You can't possibly hope or pray for a change for them. They are the definition of pure evil and they are aware of their behavior. Their goal is to completely break you down. They don't change. You can't change them or hope to change them no matter how much you try. People will change when they want to. Only help those who are willing to help themselves. Because you get along with people, it doesn't mean you can trust them. My parents got divorced when I was in GR2. My mom battled to take care of myself and my 2 drug-addicted sisters at the time. They are clean now. When I got my first job after school, with my sisters no longer being in the house and my mom being unemployed, I handed my bank card to my mom and told her all I want is my toiletries every month. She can use the rest to pay rent and keep the house running, or even buy herself clothes, etc. With this we ended up taking in my oldest sister's daughter, as my sister didn't care for her. With the backstory briefly summarized, I get home one day with a friend and my mom sitting in the lounge with a court summons letter on the coffee table. This is when I found out my mom is moving to another city and never paid rent like we agreed. I ended being sued because the house was on my name. There's that. A few years after I paid that down, one of my friends that I grew up with needed money to start a business with his dad. I felt like I could trust him more than most of my family, as he's always there when I needed him. I ended up making a loan for him. He spent all the money and now I'm paying down the loan of more or less $10,000 or $150,000 here in South Africa. I've been paying for more than 4 years and still have more than 2 to go. The 2 biggest mistakes I've made in my life so far is trusting someone because I get along with them and feel like they won't let me down, because I'm helping them, Why would they let me down? I guess I'm still paying for being a demos, and this has caused huge delays in getting a car or house or even getting engaged to my girlfriend of 4 years. My silver lining: I've made these mistakes while young. Edit. Spelling. 3 main lessons. Nobody is coming to save you. 1. You are responsible for saving yourself, and it's no one else's business nor responsibility to love your alone time. 2. You don't depend on anybody and don't need to hold to toxic relationships, platonic or romantic, cause you yourself are enough. People come and go, that's life. 3. Same as above, you can't hold on to things. Roommates suck. Even if you have a great relationship with that person, even if your expectations meet eye to eye, they will screw you over 100% of the time. Not doing the roommate thing ever again. Hope is one of the worst things I have ever had. Hoping for this, hoping for that. Hope never comes through and will leave you bitterly disappointed every time. Hard work doesn't guarantee success. You may be nice to people but don't expect them to help you. You will be disappointed. You can't trust your friends, especially if you're working in IT sector. They will snitch. Many times you will not get a promotion, whereas the dumb guy who has good relations with the manager and HR will get the raise. Take care of your teeth. I'm 21 and having to have various teeth undergo serious procedures. I've had 3 removed, including my upper right canine, and it's all because when I was younger I didn't want to brush or floss my teeth. Think about it this way: is it better to spend a couple minutes a night taking care of your teeth, or to go through intense pain, surgery, and spend thousands of dollars to learn that you should have chose option 1? On a side note, don't dwell on your mistakes too much. You can't go back and prevent them from happening. So instead use them as a reference for your future and a potential warning for others. Your company HR department are your enemy. I was being moved to a new depot when the old one was closing and had asked some questions about carrying over some favorable pay benefits to the new contract. This was all agreed, and I thought no more of it. Get to new depot and notice that my pay is reduced. Turns out I didn't keep those benefits at all. I spoke to HR, assuming there was a simple oversight to be corrected, and what did they say? We have no record of agreeing to that. Nothing was signed on any paperwork, so as far as they were concerned it was tough. Luckily, I had the foresight to record every conversation on my phone, something I had made clear I was doing in the meetings and had been agreed to by the HR rep. I let them know I had a recording of the meetings where they agreed to it, and what do you know? Suddenly they know all about it and want to put everything right. That was a stressful few months I didn't need. Never trust HR, they are there for the company, not for you. Always ask for raises every few months. Don't let employers forget to pay you for hard work. Experience makes you a better employee, thus worth more dollar. Or job hop to find better pay if your employers don't respect you enough. I was a manager at a place for almost 2 years and never saw a raise despite them raising expectations for me constantly. I couldn't live up to their standards and felt I wouldn't get a raise anyway, so I didn't even ask. I ended up leaving. I hated the job, so I wanted to leave anyway, but point is I should have asked for more money. Companies don't care about paying you more unless you throw a fit. They don't reward hard work anymore. Family is a social construct, not a biological imperative. I grew up in a really shitty environment. There was a lot of neglect and trauma. I was allowed 1 bath a week, and was fed mashed potatoes twice a day. I was forced to skip lunch at school. All of my clothes were hand-me-downs from my brother. A random popular girl who I'd never spoken to before saw me struggling. She demanded I come to a sleepover, and my stomach overwrote my brain and I said yes. They showered me, clothed me, and fed me. I felt like I was a fucking princess because they offered me fruits and veg. Well, from then on, they started picking me up from school. They bought me clothes. They cleaned out a spare room so I could sleep there. My bio family didn't even know this. My real family are the guys who love me, the ones who saw my potential, and were my best hype guys. So important. I didn't learn this the hard way, but I can think of at least 2 specific times when I was stupid close to learning, and I know there was others I don't remember.